Say hi.
Hi.
Sweet. What's going on? Another day. Let's have a look at what's changed on the car. Oh wait, I gotta open the garage door. Don't laugh at me. Alright, gonna try to do this in one take. I literally just hit record and we're going. So, haven't seen the car in real time in forever. First of all, some of you are probably like, oh shit, what's going on here? I think I should back it out and then go from there. Well, that didn't take forever. So, I'm just gonna start from the front to the back. So basically, nothing's changed really under the hood, except that there is a hood. Turbo blanket, shit that you saw in the last dyno video. Crank sensor leaks because I spaced it out. Needs an overflow tank. Pisses coolant when you shut it off. Who cares? Front end. Took a saw bumper, hacked it up like you do for race cars. Cut the bottom half off, put some aluminum on it, to basically to form an air dam with the splitter. So yeah, I don't know where to start. I just kind of like rolled the car. I just came out here this morning and decided to film. But yeah, built an air dam kind of thing. My splitter is sitting right here. Bottom side isn't painted because I'm lazy, but that's my splitter. And all like offcuts of alu panel. So that's that. I'll cut to a picture of what it looks like when I had the splitter on it before everything was actually together. So yeah, that's that. Alu panel for the headlight blank offs. I have a harness in it now, which is nice. Spaced out my dash because I put the harness in, I can't reach the fucking switches anymore. So had to ghetto rig that a little bit. Basically, these are some side support rods for the splitter as well. Ended up doing thin Lexan window for the back. In the end, I'm gonna have a carbon trunk, but this is just kind of so I can track it within the next month. Rear door is also gonna be carbon. It's just not here because the guy who's making it literally has no time. I did a Lexan window here just cause I had some extra carbon fenders as well. So that's all the carbon's not really done yet. This spoiler I made like 2 days ago. It's basically just an extension of the stock one with a gurney flap, just to reduce some drag and reduce some lift. It doesn't really make any downforce. Probably still need an actual wing, but we'll see. And then one of the nicer parts is this exhaust blown diffuser with a fin. Basically, yeah, that's just alu panel. Oh, look, an extension. Yeah, so that's the whole reason why I did the exhaust through the middle of the car instead of the side exit, because I wanted to do an exhaust blown diffuser. If you don't know, that increases downforce by a lot because it's basically pulling air from underneath the car, underneath the splitter, underneath the underbody, and creating more of a vacuum than it would have if it was just a regular diffuser. So yeah, basically, I don't even know what you call these, side whatever. They're not really canards or anything. They're just kind of there to finish off the diffuser and to actually wrap up where the diffuser hits the axle or fill that gap. Still need to do my whole underbody on the car. Hang on. Still need to do the whole underbody. Basically I just have my splitter and diffuser completely finished, but I have alu panel to finish the rest. Just don't really have much time. Like right after this I gotta get working on turbos and all that. I don't know if you've noticed either, but the car is like extremely low. Like I dropped it like 2 inches from what it was before. Like the previous video, in the first time the second dyno video, or the second dyno day in the previous video, there we go, it was pretty high, and then like the dyno day after that you could tell it like dropped substantially. So that's what I did. I put like 2-inch shorter springs in the front, like they're 2 inches shorter and 200 pounds per inch stiffer, and then shortened the rear springs as well, or put in shorter springs I should say. And that's essentially that. Car's too low anyway. It doesn't have a helper spring in it for the front. I still have to do that. Like I need to order them, but I need to jack the car up to see how long the helper spring actually needs to be, so I don't order like a 3-inch one. It's like, oh shit, I need a 4-inch. But yeah, that's one that needs to be fixed. I gotta build control arms for it. Basically the OEM control arms, if you know anything about suspensions and roll centers and all that, basically your control arms, you want them to be at worst parallel, but you want them basically pointing down. So basically when the suspension compresses, you can still have camber gain. This is with the strut type suspension. So basically, because the car is so low now, the control arms are pointed up, which is bad because as the suspension compresses more, then you lose camber. So that's not good for cornering. And then basically that puts your roll center below the ground, which means the car rolls all weird. It doesn't really roll about its central axis. It just makes it handle like garbage basically. So basically I have to make control arms that are a little bit extended just because I want them to be. And then I need to build extended ball joints. So basically the ball joint's like 2 inches down from where it was, so the control arm is pointed down slightly. And that's so I can run less static camber, so I can put more power down in a straight line. And then basically in the corners it'll have camber gain and camber loss on the inside wheels, so I can just have way more traction through a corner. Yeah, that's how that works. Still have to build those. I have to like machine cups for the spherical bearings that I have. What do I have to do? I have to machine like sleeves for the bolts so I can put the Heim joints on them. I have all the like the not really nitty, that's the nitty gritty stuff. I have like tubing for it, like the 120 wall 1-inch tubing to make it, but I just don't have the machine to goods to build it, so I haven't yet. Tie rod ends are completely shot. The ball joints that are currently on it are completely shot. I need to put steering rack bushings, I need to put a steering rack brace. If you're familiar with this Saab chassis, you know it needs a steering rack brace because the steering rack's mounted to the firewall. And that's not good because your firewall flexes and then your steering rack's like loosely tethered to that, so your steering is just basically barely connected to your wheels. But yeah, that's what I need to do next. I don't know what else to say. I know the car's changed a lot, but it's like, I know I've done a lot of work, but it's hard to actually say all the little things that I've done because it's just like too much at times. But yeah, bottom line is that hopefully I can have this out in the track soon and then just get some good track videos. I know the end of this month I can have my carbon back. That was supposed to be like way, like a long time ago, from like one of the lost videos when I lost a ton of files was me going down to my buddy's place in like 2 hours away from here. Yeah, roughly 2 hours. And then basically I was dropping off my doors and fenders to get made in carbon fiber, but then that video got lost. But either way, that was supposed to be done a long time ago. But yeah, I remember it was a long time ago because I was just taking winter tires off of that other car. So it was like freaking springtime. But whatever, such is life. In the end, I want everything else to be carbon. Like basically hood, bumper, front door, complete roof, trunk, all of that. But yeah, let's get a decent walk around of this. Not a bad looking car, from judging from what it came from. Man, I've changed so much, I just don't know what to say. Like, even after, even between the second and third dyno, I did, like, little shit. Hang on, let's prop this hood open. Just keep on talking. Hold up. Yeah, so even between like the second and third dyno days, I did shit like pull this turbo housing off. Like, I don't know, you can see it's not the coated one, it's different. But either way, pull this housing off, like ported my manifold out so it flows better to the smaller housing. Added an EGT sensor, did stuff like that. Like I now run just a screen on it. Well, I did just for the dyno, so it didn't suck in shit. But basically I want an intake going that way. That's for another time. And then, what else did I do? I had to build a catch can for the exhaust crankcase vent, basically because it was just pulling oil directly from the valve cover into the exhaust, and it was just like smoking like crazy. Actually didn't show that because I was just too lazy to explain what was going on. Like, people watching thought I blew the car up, like people at the dyno that day. They're like, oh shit, it's done, but it's just my crankcase vent. Okay, I gotta rebuild this shit. This is like my power steering pump inlet. It's like complete garbage. Like I welded this on once, I built it, whatever, made the inlet. It worked okay, but it leaked. So I'm like, alright, so I chopped it off, built another one. Still leaks somehow. I don't know how. So what I'm gonna do is just like weld an end fitting onto here, and then just do a -12, like 120 degree fitting to there. So that works. But the big issue I've been having, kind of with dynoing, aside from actually for the last time, the only two issues I had engine-wise was the crank sensor. See that down there? Basically, I had to space that out because my rev limiter issue was because, I don't know, if you're a Saab tuner and you're watching this, will help you. This will help you out if you haven't heard about it already. But basically, my car wouldn't rev past like 6,800 RPM, and it was acting like it was just hitting a rev limiter. But in fact, it wasn't. It's a fuel cut limiter, but it was shooting flames when it hit this kind of limiter. So I was thinking it's probably an ECU, probably some weird issue, but I actually did some research into cars that did that weren't Saabs, and that was because the crank sensor was losing sync, which means it was missing teeth. So what happens is with these, is the sensor is a variable reluctance sensor, so it doesn't just output like a square like wave like a Hall effect sensor does. It puts out like a weird shaped, like an augmented, not augmented, that's a weird word. Puts out like a weirdly shaped sine wave. Basically that wave gets more and more intense as the RPM climbs, and then when that gets too intense, basically the chip inside the ECU that turns that wave into just like a square wave and sends it to the chip, sends it to the main processor. Basically that gets saturated, so all it sees is distortion. And then, I know this is a really technical explanation, but what that sees is distortion, like in the sine wave, because it can't read any higher than a certain voltage. And then it sends that to the ECU as just like a block of mud, and then the ECU doesn't know how fast the engine is spinning, where to fire the spark, whatever. So bottom line is, that was a horrible explanation, but basically the sensor was being saturated from the voltage being too high, and then spacing that sensor out dropped the voltage reading low enough so that it doesn't saturate at high RPMs, and then it's still high enough so that the car can start and run at low RPMs. And that was the only way to fix it, because there's other ways of doing it, like adding a resistor in the line, but I don't really like that, because say if a resistor burns out on you at the track, then basically your car's done for the day, or you gotta like find another like resistor at the track. But spacing it out works like the best, just because it gets the job done, and it's just mechanical, just moving the sensor out. That was like the worst like explanation I could like ever do, but the most drawn out way of explaining it. But either way, because I spaced that sensor out, it now leaks. So there's like oil like dripping all over the place from that sensor, because it's inside the actual crankcase. So I'm just gonna take it out and just RTV the shit out of it. But it fixed my revving issue, so probably I could hit 8,000 RPM now without losing crank sync, which is good. But yeah, the other issue I was having was the coolant overflow. Basically, my rad cap here, like I even got a new rad cap from the second to third time, because I thought that was the issue. So basically, this rad cap is lower than this bend right here, like just by a little bit. Not even, it's probably at the same height. So when the car's running, it's fine, like coolant's pumping through here, everything's flowing, the gas is kind of being released through here, not an issue. But when you shut it off, there's an air pocket right here, and then this expands and this starts forcing water out through here, because since this is like the same height or a bit lower, there's water sitting here instead of air. So when the pressure tries to relieve, it just starts spewing water out of the overflow. That's why there's rusty water. Freaking old Saab cast iron block life. But that's why it's been spewing water out of here, just because this pipe is a bit too high. So now what I have to do is block this overflow off, run something from here like to like a tank higher up here, like how it is from the factory. I'm just running it this way because this is a freaking 240SX radiator. But basically I gotta put like a tank like up here with an overflow, or a rad cap, like the same Mishimoto cap, and then basically all will be well, because then the air is stored up in here and there won't be any air in the system, and then basically you get the deal. But I might get fancy with it and make a swirl pot coming off of the heater hose here. So it basically goes into a little thing and it spins around, and the centrifugal force, or centripetal force, whatever you wanna, if you're one of those people, don't worry about it. Basically the centrifugal force will separate the air and the water faster, because if you increase the g-force in the spinning, I'm getting really technical here, but I'm not explaining it properly, so I don't know. This is a one-take video, who cares? The centrifugal force basically separates the water quicker, because the mass of the water is higher than the air, and then if you increase gravity, that increases faster than the mass of the air. The weight, sorry. Basically if you spin it, the water separates from the air separates from the water quicker. Alright? Alright. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is painful. If I actually spent a moment and rehearsed, I could have like said this properly, but whatever. Either way, swirl pot, seal the crank sensor, and it'll be good. Other than that, I don't know what else I have to say. But actually, I want to say this. I sound like an idiot half the time on videos because I feel like I skip over like a lot of grammar and a lot of like plurals and just a lot of like just things in speech that just makes you like that. Like what I just said, that just sounded awkward as hell. But I find when I watch it back on like video, I just sound like a complete retard just cuz like I miss plurals and shit. I miss like complete grammar conventions and whatever. I just like just talk to talk, but and aside from sounding like an idiot when I'm trying to explain something like scientific, then I'll I'll completely butcher the explanation, but either way, I try. And then if I actually rehearsed or wrote something down, I could say it a lot better. So I think that's about it. This is gonna be like a vlog. I'm not even gonna put this in the Autotragic series because this is like such a garbage video. Um, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, until the next one. I don't know. Subscribe, like, do whatever you want. I started an Instagram called timeattack_sob. And I'm just posting photos from the beginning to the end of this build. So support a brother. Peace.